Right now, as you sit here, something is happening that you cannot see. Something is moving through you that you cannot name. There is a conversation taking place in the deepest layers of your being, and you did not start it. You did not choose it. You may not even be aware of it. But your body knows. Your body has always known. There is an intelligence operating beneath the surface of your conscious mind, an intelligence that does not speak in words, does not think in sentences, does not wait for your permission. It simply responds. It simply feels. It simply knows. And right now, in this very moment, it is trying to tell you something. Most people walk through their lives believing that reality is something that happens to them. That the world out there is fixed, solid, separate from who they are in here. They believe that the body is just a vehicle, a machine made of meat and bone, something that carries them from place to place while the real action happens in the mind. But what if that is the most dangerous misunderstanding you have ever accepted? What if the body is not separate from the field of reality, but is, in fact, the most sensitive instrument you possess for reading it? What if your nervous system is not just reacting to the world, but is in constant dialogue with an invisible architecture of energy and information that most people never learn to listen to? This is not metaphor. This is not poetry dressed up as science. This is the frontier where quantum physics, neuroscience, and the oldest wisdom traditions on Earth converge on the same terrifying, beautiful truth. The field is real. It is intelligent, and your body is already tuned to it. Let that land for a moment. Just breathe. Because what we are about to explore together is not something you need to believe. It is something you need to feel. And the fact that you are here, the fact that something drew you to this moment, to these words, is itself evidence of what we are going to talk about. Something in your field recognized this frequency before your mind could make sense of it. Something in you already knows what is coming. So let us begin where science begins. Let us begin with the field. In 1927, a group of physicists gathered in Brussels for what would become one of the most consequential meetings in human history, the Fifth Solvay Conference. In that room sat Einstein, Bohr, Heisenberg, Schrödinger, Dirac, Pauli, and others whose names would become synonymous with the revolution that shattered our understanding of reality. What they were wrestling with was not just a technical problem. It was an existential crisis dressed in mathematics. Because quantum mechanics had revealed something that no one was prepared for. At the most fundamental level of reality, matter does not behave like matter. Particles do not exist in definite states until they are observed. Before observation, they exist in what physicists call superposition, a cloud of probability, a shimmer of potential, not here or there, but everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. And the act of observation, the act of a conscious agent directing attention toward the quantum system, is what collapses that probability into a single, definite outcome. Read that again in your mind. The act of looking is what makes reality choose. Consciousness does not passively witness the universe. It participates in its creation. Now, mainstream physics has spent nearly a century trying to explain away the implications of this. They have built elaborate interpretations, the many worlds hypothesis, decoherence theory, hidden variable models, all designed to preserve the comfortable idea that reality is objective, fixed, and independent of the observer. And yet, experiment after experiment continues to confirm the same unsettling result. The double-slit experiment. The delayed choice quantum eraser. Bell's theorem and the violation of local realism. Every time we test the boundary between consciousness and matter, we find that the boundary does not exist the way we assumed it did. But here is what no one tells you. This is not just happening in laboratories with photons and electrons. This is happening in you, right now. In the field of energy and information that surrounds and interpenetrates your body. In the electrical storm of your nervous system. In the coherence or incoherence of your heart. In the quantum processes occurring in the microtubules of your neurons. You are not separate from the quantum field. You are an expression of it. A localized pattern of the field becoming aware of itself. And your nervous system, that ancient, exquisitely sensitive network of billions of neurons and trillions of synaptic connections, is the interface. It is the translator between the invisible field and your lived experience. It is the bridge between the quantum and the classical, between potential and manifestation, between what could be and what is. So when I say your quantum field is talking, I mean it literally. The field of probability and potential that you exist within is constantly sending information, constantly offering signals, constantly communicating with the only instrument capable of receiving it. Your body, your nervous system, your felt sense of being alive. And when I say your nervous system already feels it, I mean that too. Because long before your conscious mind constructs a thought, long before language wraps itself around an experience, your body has already responded. Your autonomic nervous system has already shifted. Your heart rate has already changed. Your gut has already tightened or softened. Your skin has already flushed or cooled. You have already moved toward or away from something before you could explain why. This is not instinct in the way most people understand it. This is not just the fight or flight reflex of a biological machine. This is something far more profound. This is your body reading the field. This is your nervous system decoding information that exists beyond the five senses. This is the quantum conversation that is always happening, whether you are conscious of it or not. If this is opening something in you right now, if you can feel even a flicker of recognition in your body as you listen, take a moment and hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel so we can keep going deeper into this together. Now let us continue. Think about a time when you walked into a room and immediately felt something. Not something you could see or hear or touch. Something in the atmosphere. Something in the space between people. Maybe it was tension. Maybe it was warmth. Maybe it was danger. Maybe it was love. You could not point to the source. You could not explain it logically. But you felt it. In your chest. In your belly. In the hairs on the back of your neck. Your body knew something your mind had not yet figured out. That was not imagination. That was not projection. That was your nervous system reading the coherence pattern of the field in that room. Every person in that space was emitting an electromagnetic signature, a field generated primarily by their heart, which produces an electrical field 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain, and a magnetic field 5,000 times stronger. The HeartMath Institute has measured this. They have shown that the heart's electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond the body, and that it carries encoded information about a person's emotional state. When you walk into a room and feel something, You are literally detecting the electromagnetic information being broadcast by the hearts of the people around you. Your nervous system is decoding that broadcast in real time, translating it into sensation, into feeling, into knowing. But it goes deeper than that. Because the heart's field is not the only field you are immersed in. You exist within the electromagnetic field of the Earth itself, the Schumann resonances, those standing waves in the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere that pulse at frequencies remarkably close to the dominant frequencies of the human brain. The base Schumann resonance is approximately 7.83 Hertz. Your brain, when it enters states of deep relaxation, creativity, and insight, produces alpha waves in the range of 8 to 12 Hertz. When it enters states of deep meditation and healing, it produces theta waves in the range of 4 to 8 Hertz. The overlap is not coincidence. Your nervous system evolved within this field. It is tuned to it. It resonates with it. When the Schumann resonances shift, as they do during solar storms and geomagnetic activity, human nervous systems around the world respond. Hospital admissions increase. Heart attacks spike. Anxiety and depression fluctuate. Creativity surges. The field shifts and the body follows. You are not a separate being moving through a dead universe. You are a resonant node in a living, intelligent field. And your nervous system is the instrument through which that field experiences itself. Now pause with that for a moment, because this is where the mind wants to rush ahead, wants to intellectualize, wants to categorize and file this away as interesting information. But information is not transformation. Knowing about the field is not the same as feeling the field, and feeling the field is not the same as consciously participating in the conversation. This is where everything changes, because most people, even those who intellectually accept that consciousness and reality are connected, even those who have read the books and watched the documentaries and attended the workshops, most people are still living as if they are separate from the field. They are still operating from the default programming of the conditioned nervous system. And the conditioned nervous system is not tuned to the field. It is tuned to threat. It is tuned to survival. It is tuned to the past. Here is what I mean. Your autonomic nervous system has two primary branches. The sympathetic branch, which activates the stress response, and the parasympathetic branch, which activates the relaxation response. In a healthy, coherent system, these two branches work in dynamic balance, like breathing in and breathing out, like the systole and diastole of the heart. But in most modern humans, the system is not in balance. It is stuck. It is locked in a chronic sympathetic state, a low-grade but persistent activation of the survival response, not because there is a tiger in the room, but because the nervous system has been conditioned by years, sometimes decades, of unprocessed stress, unresolved emotion, cultural programming, and informational overload to perceive threat everywhere, to scan for danger constantly, to brace against a world it has learned to distrust. And when your nervous system is locked in survival mode, it cannot hear the field. It is too busy defending, too busy scanning, too busy constructing walls of tension in your muscles, your fascia, your organs, your jaw, your shoulders, your gut. All of that tension is not just physical, it is informational. It is your nervous system's way of saying, I am not safe. And when the body is broadcasting, I am not safe, that broadcast goes out into the field just as surely as the signals from other hearts and other bodies come in. You are not just receiving from the field, You are transmitting into it. Every moment, every breath, every unconscious pattern of tension or relaxation is a signal that shapes the field around you. This is the mechanism behind what spiritual traditions have called vibration, frequency, energy. These are not just metaphors. They are descriptions of measurable electromagnetic and bioelectric phenomena. When someone says, "raise your vibration," what they are actually describing, whether they know it or not, is a shift in the coherence pattern of your nervous system and the electromagnetic field it generates. A coherent heart rhythm, one characterized by smooth sine wave-like oscillations, produces a fundamentally different field than an incoherent heart rhythm, one characterized by jagged, erratic patterns, and that field does not stop at the boundary of your skin. It extends outward. It interacts with other fields. It influences the probability space around you. Let that sink in. Your internal state is not private. It is not contained. It is a broadcast, and the field is listening. So the question becomes, what are you broadcasting? What signal is your nervous system sending into the quantum field right now? Is it coherence or chaos? Is it openness or contraction? Is it the frequency of what you truly desire, or the frequency of what you are afraid of? Because the field does not respond to your words. It does not respond to your affirmations. It does not respond to what you think you want. It responds to the actual electromagnetic signature of your state of being. It responds to what your nervous system is doing, not what your mind is saying. This is why so many people struggle with manifestation, with prayer, with intention setting. They speak the words of abundance while their nervous system broadcasts scarcity. They visualize health while their body is locked in the tension of fear. They affirm love while their heart rhythm is incoherent with the unprocessed pain of old wounds. And the field reads the body, not the mind. The field reads the signal, not the story. I want to pause here and ask you something. When was the first moment you realized your body was telling you something your mind refused to hear? When was the first time you felt the truth in your chest before you could think it? Drop that moment in the comments. Not the explanation, just the feeling, just the memory. Let it speak. This is not a failure of the universe. This is not evidence that consciousness does not create reality. This is evidence that consciousness is not what most people think it is. Consciousness is not thought. Consciousness is not the voice in your head. Consciousness is the total field of awareness that includes your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, your nervous system state, your electromagnetic output, and the quantum probability space that all of this is embedded in. And when all of these layers are coherent, when thought and feeling and body and field are aligned, that is when reality responds. That is when synchronicity floods in. That is when the path opens. That is when what you need appears before you ask for it. Because you are not asking with your mouth. You are asking with your field. And when your field is coherent, the universe does not have to guess what you are saying. The signal is clear. The conversation is open. The response is immediate. Now, I want to take you deeper, because understanding this intellectually is the first step, but it is only the first step. The real transformation happens when you begin to develop a conscious relationship with your nervous system. When you stop treating your body as a vehicle and start treating it as an oracle. when you learn to listen to the field through the instrument that is already tuned to it. What we have touched on today, the relationship between your nervous system and the quantum field, is only the surface of a much deeper system. If you are ready to move from understanding to embodiment, from knowing about the field to consciously becoming the broadcast. My ebook, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness. Mastery walks you through the complete journey across 9 master frequencies, from breaking free of survival static all the way to living as the field itself. It is linked in the pinned comment below. Your nervous system communicates through sensation, not through language, not through logic, through felt experience, through the subtle shifts in your inner landscape that most people have been trained to ignore. Modern culture has waged a quiet war against somatic awareness. From the time you were a child, you were taught to sit still, to ignore your body's signals, to prioritize thought over feeling, to push through discomfort, to override fatigue, to suppress emotion. Every time you were told, stop crying, every time you were told, sit still, every time you were told you are overreacting, a small part of your nervous system's communication channel was dimmed, not destroyed, dimmed. The signal is still there. It has always been there. But the volume has been turned down so low that most people cannot hear it anymore. And so they live in their heads. They live in the endless loop of thought, analysis, worry, planning, remembering, projecting. They mistake the voice in their head for consciousness itself. They mistake the mental narrative for reality. And all the while, beneath the noise of the mind, the body is speaking. The field is speaking. And no one is listening. This is the great disconnection. This is the root of the epidemic of anxiety, depression, chronic illness, and existential emptiness that defines modern life. It is not that the field has stopped communicating. It is that we have stopped listening. We have severed the connection between the conscious mind and the somatic intelligence of the body. We have built a civilization on the premise that the mind is superior to the body, that thought is superior to feeling, that logic is superior to intuition. And in doing so, we have cut ourselves off from the very instrument that connects us to the deeper intelligence of reality. But here is the beautiful thing. The connection can be restored. The channel can be reopened. The volume can be turned back up. And it does not require years of therapy or decades of meditation or some dramatic spiritual awakening. It requires one thing: attention, conscious, sustained, loving attention directed inward, toward the body, toward sensation, toward the felt experience of being alive in this moment. Because attention is not passive. Attention is the most active force in the universe. Remember what quantum physics told us. The act of observation collapses the wave function. The act of looking is what makes reality choose. When you direct your attention toward your nervous system, toward the subtle sensations in your body, you are not just noticing what is there. You are changing it. You are collapsing the probability space of your internal state. You are participating in the creation of your own coherence. This is why every contemplative tradition in human history has included some form of body awareness practice. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, Vipassana, somatic meditation, breathwork. These are not just relaxation techniques. They are technologies for tuning the instrument. They are methods for reopening the channel between conscious awareness and the quantum field. They are practices for learning to listen to the conversation that is always happening. Let me give you something practical, something you can do right now, something that will begin to shift your relationship with your nervous system and, through it, your relationship with the field. Close your eyes if you can. If you cannot close them, soften your gaze. Let your visual field blur and bring your attention to the center of your chest. Not your thoughts about your chest, not the idea of your chest, the actual felt sensation of the area behind your sternum. Just notice what is there. Is there warmth, coolness, tightness, openness, pressure, tingling, numbness? There is no right answer. There is only what is. Just notice. Just feel. Just be present with whatever sensation is there without trying to change it, fix it, or understand it. Now, take a slow breath in through your nose. Let your belly expand. Feel the breath move down into your lower abdomen. And as you exhale, slowly through your mouth, imagine that the breath is softening whatever tension exists in your chest. Not forcing it to release, just offering it permission, just letting it know that it is safe to soften, that you are here, that you are listening. Do this for 3 breaths, just 3. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. Attention on the chest, permission to soften. What you just did in those few seconds is more powerful than you might realize. You shifted your nervous system from sympathetic dominance toward parasympathetic activation. You moved from the frequency of defense to the frequency of reception. You opened the channel, even if only slightly, and in that opening, the field moved closer. The conversation became a little clearer. The signal became a little stronger. This is not dramatic. This is not flashy. This is the quiet revolution. This is the shift that changes everything. Not a single explosive moment of awakening, but a gradual, daily, moment-by-moment practice of returning to the body, of listening to the nervous system, of tuning the instrument, of becoming a conscious participant in the quantum conversation. Now let me take this even further, because the field is not just communicating through general sensation. It is communicating through specific patterns, through what I would call somatic signatures. And learning to read these signatures is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Think of your nervous system as a radio receiver. It is constantly picking up signals from the field. But those signals do not arrive as words or images. They arrive as patterns of sensation in the body. And different types of information produce different somatic signatures. When your body encounters a situation, a person, a decision, an opportunity that is aligned with your deepest truth, with the highest probability path for your evolution, there is a specific signature. For many people, it feels like expansion, like warmth in the chest, like a softening of the belly, like a subtle sense of yes that does not come from the mind, but from somewhere deeper. It is not excitement, which is often a mental state. It is not desire, which is often a conditioned response. It is something quieter, something more fundamental. A resonance, a recognition. As if the field is saying, "This is it," and your body is saying, "I know." Conversely, when your body encounters something that is misaligned, something that moves you away from coherence, away from your deepest truth, there is a different signature. For many people, it feels like contraction, like tightness in the throat or the gut, like a subtle pulling back, like a heaviness that has no obvious cause. Again, This is not fear in the way the mind understands fear. It is not anxiety, which is often a habitual nervous system pattern. It is something more precise, more specific, a dissonance, a warning. As if the field is saying, not this, and your body is saying, I know. But here is where it gets subtle and important. Most people cannot distinguish between these field signals and their conditioned nervous system responses, because the conditioned nervous system also produces contraction and expansion, but for entirely different reasons. The nervous system that was wounded in childhood might contract around intimacy, not because intimacy is misaligned, but because it was once associated with pain. The nervous system that was conditioned by scarcity might contract around abundance, not because abundance is wrong, but because it is unfamiliar. The nervous system that learned to people-please might expand around situations that are actually harmful, not because they are aligned, but because they trigger the familiar reward of approval. This is why simply following your gut is not enough. This is why just trust your intuition can be misleading advice if your nervous system is still running old programs. The field signal is real, but it is being received by an instrument that may be distorted, like a radio with static. The broadcast is clear, but the reception is noisy. So the work, the real work, is not just learning to listen to the body. It is learning to clean the instrument, to clear the static, to distinguish between the voice of the field and the echoes of the past. And here is where I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where you could not tell whether your body was warning you about something real or just replaying an old wound? What did you do? Tell me in the comments, because this is where the real learning lives, in the shared experience of navigating this together. And this is where the deepest transformation happens, because clearing the nervous system is not just a health practice. It is not just a wellness strategy. It is a quantum act. Every time you process an old emotion that has been stored in your body, you are releasing a pattern of incoherence from your field. Every time you allow a held tension to soften, you are changing the electromagnetic signature you broadcast into the quantum field. Every time you bring conscious awareness to a conditioned response and choose not to react from it, you are collapsing a probability wave that has been running on autopilot, creating the same reality over and over and over again. This is what it means to break a pattern. Not at the level of behavior, not at the level of thought, at the level of the nervous system, at the level of the field. You are literally changing the signal, and when the signal changes, reality must respond differently. Not because of magic, because of physics, because the field responds to coherence, because probability bends toward clarity, because the universe is not random, it is responsive. Let me tell you something that might challenge you. Most of what you call your personality is not you. Most of what you identify as your preferences, your reactions, your tendencies, your patterns of thought and feeling are not expressions of some essential self. They are the accumulated residue of your nervous system's conditioning. They are the habits of a biological system that learned to survive in a particular environment and then kept running those survival programs long after the environment changed. You are not your anxiety. You are not your defensiveness. You are not your need for control. You are not your fear of abandonment. These are programs. They are patterns of nervous system activation that were installed by experience and reinforced by repetition. And they can be changed, not by fighting them, not by suppressing them, not by analyzing them endlessly, by feeling them, by bringing the light of conscious attention to the places in your body where they live, by allowing the nervous system to complete the responses that were interrupted, to discharge the energy that was stored, to finally process what has been waiting, sometimes for decades, to be felt. This is what Peter Levine's work on somatic experiencing has shown. This is what Bessel van der Kolk's research on trauma and the body has demonstrated. This is what Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory has illuminated. The body keeps the score. The nervous system remembers what the mind forgets. And healing happens not through understanding, but through completion, through allowing the body to do what it was trying to do when the original overwhelming experience occurred, through letting the trembling happen, through letting the tears come, through letting the breath deepen into the places that have been held tight for so long that you forgot they could move. And as old patterns release, something remarkable happens. The static clears, the instrument tunes, and suddenly, the field signal that was always there becomes audible. The quantum conversation that was always happening becomes perceptible. You start to notice things, synchronicities that are too precise to be coincidence. Knowing that arrives before information, a sense of being guided, not by an external force, but by an internal intelligence that seems to know where you need to go before you do. This is not supernatural. This is what a clean nervous system does. This is what a coherent field produces. This is what happens when the instrument is tuned and the channel is open. You do not gain new abilities. You recover the ones that were always there. You do not develop intuition. You remove the interference that was blocking it. And this brings us to perhaps the most profound implication of everything we have been exploring. If your nervous system is the interface between your consciousness and the quantum field, and if the quantum field is the underlying fabric of reality, then the state of your nervous system is not just a personal health matter. It is a reality creation matter. The coherence of your nervous system directly influences the probability space around you. It directly shapes the field from which your experiences emerge. This is not wishful thinking. This is the logical extension of what we know about quantum mechanics, about electromagnetism, about the observer effect, about the non-local nature of quantum entanglement. If observation collapses the wave function, and your nervous system is the mechanism through which observation occurs at the biological level, then the state of your nervous system determines the quality of your observation, which determines the nature of the reality that collapses into being around you. A nervous system locked in fear collapses a reality consistent with fear. A nervous system resonating with coherence collapses a reality consistent with coherence. Not because the universe is punishing or rewarding you, because the field is responsive, because reality is participatory, because you are not in the universe. You are the universe, looking at itself through the lens of your particular nervous system, and what you see depends entirely on the quality of that lens. So when I say your quantum field is talking, I am not speaking poetically. I am describing a real, measurable, moment-by-moment exchange of information between the deepest level of reality and the most intimate level of your biological being. And when I say your nervous system already feels it, I am pointing to the fact that this exchange does not require your conscious participation to occur. It is happening right now. It has been happening since before you were born. Your body has been in conversation with the field since the first cell divided, since the first neural pathway formed, since the first heartbeat sent its electromagnetic signal out into the space around your mother's womb. The question has never been whether the conversation is happening. The question is whether you are going to become a conscious participant in it. And becoming a conscious participant does not mean learning more. It does not mean reading another book or watching another video or attending another seminar. It means dropping out of the head and into the body. It means developing the capacity to feel what is actually happening in your nervous system right now. Not what you think is happening, not what should be happening. What is actually, viscerally, somatically happening. The tightness in your jaw, the holding in your diaphragm, the subtle vibration in your hands, the warmth or coolness in your belly, the quality of your heartbeat, the depth or shallowness of your breath. These are not random physical sensations. These are data. These are the fields speaking in the only language your body understands. And when you learn to read this language, when you develop fluency in the somatic vocabulary of your own nervous system, everything changes. Not because the world changes, though it will, but because you change. You shift from being an unconscious receiver of the field to being a conscious participant in the field. You shift from being shaped by reality to shaping it, not through force, not through will, through coherence, through alignment, through the quiet, persistent practice of tuning the instrument and listening to the music that was always playing. Let me offer you another practice, something to take with you beyond this moment. Once a day, for just 5 minutes, sit quietly and do nothing but feel your body. Not stretching, not exercising, not meditating in the way you might have been taught, with mantras or visualizations or goals. Just sitting, just feeling. Start with your feet. Notice the sensation of contact with the floor. Move your attention slowly up through your legs, your hips, your belly, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your neck, your face, your scalp. Just move through the body like a slow wave of attention, noticing what you find without judgment, without interpretation, without trying to fix anything. Some areas will feel alive, warm, tingling. These are areas of coherence, areas where the channel is open. Some areas will feel numb, dense, absent. These are areas where the channel has been closed, where old tension or unprocessed experience has created a block in the flow of information between your awareness and your body. Do not force these areas open. Just notice them. Just acknowledge them. Just let them know that you are here, that you are paying attention, that you are willing to listen. Over time, days, weeks, months, something will begin to shift. The numb areas will start to come alive. The tense areas will start to soften. Not because you are doing anything to them, but because attention itself is the healing force. Because consciousness directed toward the body is the most powerful coherence generator that exists. Because the act of observation, as quantum physics has shown us, changes the system being observed. And as your body comes alive, as your nervous system clears and tunes, you will begin to notice something extraordinary. You will begin to feel the field, not as a concept, not as a belief, as a lived, felt, undeniable experience. You will walk into a room and know things you have no logical reason to know. You will think of someone and they will call. You will feel a pull toward a particular action and discover that it leads exactly where you needed to go. You will experience a fluidity, a synchronicity, a rightness to the unfolding of your life that cannot be explained by chance and does not need to be explained by faith. It simply is. It is the natural result of a coherent nervous system in conscious conversation with the quantum field. This is not enlightenment as some distant, unattainable state reserved for monks and mystics. This is your birthright. This is the natural operating mode of a human nervous system that has not been distorted by trauma, conditioning, and disconnection. This is what you were designed for. Not to think your way through life, not to figure it all out with your mind, but to feel your way through the field, to navigate by resonance, to let the intelligence of the body guide you toward the experiences, the people, the opportunities, the realities that are most coherent with who you actually are. And who you actually are is not the collection of stories you tell about yourself. It is not your name, your history, your achievements, your failures, your roles, your labels. Who you actually are is a pattern of consciousness, a unique frequency in the quantum field, a particular way that the universe has chosen to know itself. And that pattern, that frequency, that unique signature of being is encoded in your nervous system. It is written in the language of sensation. It is broadcast through the electromagnetic field of your heart. It is the signal that the field is always listening for. And when that signal is clear, when it is coherent, when it is unobstructed by the static of conditioning and fear, reality reorganizes itself around it. Not slowly, not eventually, immediately. Because at the quantum level, there is no delay between the signal and the response. There is no gap between the observer and the observed. There is only converge, the conversation. And the conversation is always now. This is where we arrive at something that might seem paradoxical. The most powerful thing you can do to change your life is to stop trying to change your life. The most effective action you can take is to stop acting and start feeling. The greatest transformation available to you is not out there, in the next achievement or relationship or experience. It is in here, in the next breath, in the next moment of genuine somatic awareness, in the next instant of conscious contact with the living intelligence of your own body. Because your body is not separate from the field. Your body is the field, localized. Your nervous system is not separate from consciousness. Your nervous system is consciousness, embodied. And when you treat it that way, when you honor it that way, when you listen to it with the same reverence you might bring to a sacred text or a holy teacher, it will show you things that no book could ever contain. It will guide you to places that no map could ever chart. It will reveal to you a reality so much more alive, so much more intelligent, so much more responsive than anything the conditioned mind could imagine. The quantum field is talking. It has always been talking. It will never stop talking. The only variable is you, your willingness to listen, your courage to feel, your commitment to clearing the instrument, tuning the channel, and showing up, fully present, fully embodied, fully alive, for the conversation that is your life. And I want to be clear about something. This is not easy work. I am not offering you a shortcut or a hack or a 5-step formula for instant transformation. The nervous system does not change overnight. Decades of conditioning do not dissolve in a single meditation. The patterns that have been running your life are deeply embedded in the neural architecture of your body, and they will not release without resistance. There will be moments when you sit with your body and feel nothing, moments when you feel everything and it is overwhelming. Moments when the old programs fight back, when the familiar anxiety returns, when the conditioned mind screams that this is pointless, that nothing is changing, that you should go back to the comfortable numbness of living in your head. That resistance is not failure. That resistance is the signal that you are close, that you are touching something real, that the old pattern is being threatened by the new awareness. And the only way through it is through it, not around it, not over it, through it, breath by breath, sensation by sensation, moment by moment. Trusting the intelligence of the body even when the mind cannot see where you are going. Trusting the field even when the evidence has not yet materialized. Trusting the process even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because something is always happening. In the quantum field, there is no such thing as nothing happening. Every moment of attention is a collapse of probability. Every breath of awareness is a signal sent into the field. Every instant of conscious presence is a vote for coherence, for alignment, for the reality that matches your deepest truth. And those votes accumulate. They build. They reach a tipping point. And when they do, the shift is not gradual. It is sudden. It is unmistakable. It is the moment when the field responds so clearly, so precisely, so undeniably, that you can never again pretend you are separate from it. That moment is coming for you. It may already be here. It may be the reason you are listening to these words right now. Something in the field brought you here. Something in your nervous system recognized this frequency. Something in the quantum conversation that is your life pointed you toward this moment, this message, this invitation to remember what you have always known. You are not a body in a universe. You are the universe in a body. You are not a mind trying to figure out reality. You are reality trying to know itself through the miracle of your nervous system. You are not separate from the field. You are the field, waking up. And the field is patient. It has been waiting for you. It has been sending signals through every sensation, every synchronicity, every moment of unexplained knowing, every shiver down your spine, every tear that came from nowhere, every laugh that surprised you, every dream that felt more real than waking life. All of it, every bit of it. Was the field talking? Was the quantum conversation reaching out through the only channel it has? Your body. Your beautiful, intelligent, sensitive, sacred body. Consider sharing this with someone whose nervous system needs to hear this right now. When you send this to another person, you are not just sharing a video. You are extending a coherence signal through the field, and that act of transmission strengthens the frequency in your own body as much as it awakens it in theirs. The field amplifies what is shared. So here is my invitation to you. Not a demand, not an instruction, an invitation. Begin to listen. Begin today. Begin now. Not with your mind, with your body. Put your hand on your chest and feel your heartbeat. That rhythm is not mechanical. It is electromagnetic. It is a signal being broadcast into the quantum field with every single beat. And the quality of that signal, the coherence of that rhythm, the information encoded in that electromagnetic pulse, is shaping the reality you will walk into when this is over. What do you want that signal to say? What do you want to broadcast into the field? Not with your words, not with your thoughts, with your being, with your state, with the actual measurable, felt experience of being alive in your body right now? That is the question. That is the only question. And your nervous system already knows the answer. It has always known. You just have to be quiet enough, present enough, brave enough to hear it. The field is talking. Your body is listening. The only question left is whether you are ready to join the conversation. If something in these words resonated with you, if something in your body shifted while you were listening, that is not coincidence. That is coherence. That is the field recognizing itself in you. Honor that. Follow that. Let that be the beginning of a new relationship with the intelligence that lives in your body and the reality that unfolds from it. Leave a word in the comments. Just one word. The word that your body is speaking right now. Not the word your mind chooses. The word your body feels. Let it come without thinking. Let it rise from the same place where the field speaks. And if you want to continue this conversation, if you want to go deeper into the quantum relationship between your nervous system and reality, stay close to this channel. Subscribe. Come back. Because this is not a single message. This is an ongoing transmission, and the field has so much more to say. Breathe. Feel. Listen. The conversation is already happening. It has always been happening, and you, in this moment, are exactly where you need to be to hear it. Now that you have felt what a coherent nervous system can do, go watch if you see this. Your quantum soul is activating, because it will show you exactly what happens when this activation reaches the level of your soul's blueprint, and why your body is already preparing for something you cannot yet name.